Hey, let's start with one more session about user-defined functions. So this session is specifically for those people who are pretty much new to Python and they understand when to write user-defined functions. Uh, so here's this one use case that I have recently worked on, and the use case is very simple. Like these are the requirements that we have at the initial point. Based on these requirements, let us say that we have to develop one user-defined function which is going to achieve this logic and throw the output uh, after it has met all the requirements. Okay, let us say that first let us understand what are the requirements that we have. Say there is a merchandising company where they have set of items, and uh, each item is being procured by multiple different companies. Say for example, if you have uh, people who are buying vegetables, for example. So they have some people are buying red apples, some people are buying green apples, some people are buying pears, and so on and so forth. So if you look at only red apple, maybe red apple might have been procured by like say 100 people or 200 people. Similarly, if you have looking at some green apple, maybe green apple is being procured by some 200 or 300 more people. So based on that, they have a data set wherein they have items and each item has got a defined set of number of customers who have procured it or going to procure it. That is about items. And there is one more column which is nothing but a group category, uh, wherein they try to specify whenever red apple is not available, what is the next available item that they can give in place of red apple. So for example, if you can say if red apple is not available, you can give green apple. Or let us say if the musk melon is not available, they can come and give some honey lemon. They are very similar to each other. Or if the green grapes are not available, they can come up with the black grapes, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the red apple and green apple belong to one cluster, or we can call it say they belong to one group category. And if two items belong to the same category, the that item cannot be a part of any other group. That is how the mapping goes. So this is the second column. So we have one column which is item codes, and the second column is the group category. And then third column is the number of customers who are going to procure it. Okay, let us say this big data set is pretty huge for them to uh, process the data all at once. So their intention is to divide this into say n number of batches. They want to segregate the n number of, into an n number of batches, provided that orders belonging to one group category should belong to the same batch. Say what I mean to say is that if you have red apple and green apple belonging to one category, all the orders belonging to red apple and green apple should fall under one batch. It cannot be a part of any other batch. That is the first requirement. And the second requirement is the batching should be in such a way that all the batches should have similar number of order count. So it means that let us say if we are talking about 1 lakh orders, and if we are trying to divide it into 5 batches, each batch should be very close to 20,000. They need not be 20,000, but at least they should be somewhat similar to 20,000. I mean, somewhere very close to similar to 20,000. So now let us see how to write this as a function. I'm going to tell you how we start writing a function, right? So you know the syntax of writing a function. So this is the function name, and you have arguments, and then you may or may not have a return statement after you process the arguments, and then you're going to return it. Say you're going to process the arguments, meet the requirements, and return. This is the basic agenda. But when you start writing a function, you should not straight directly go and start writing the complete syntax. You have to first try to break that uh, each logic into simple lines. Say because we are using a notebook, we can execute that line by line and see what really happens at a granular level. So as of now, I don't have a data set, right? maybe like if this was asked for you even before the data set was given to you, just by giving some document, we generally call it as a blueprint. So once by looking at the blueprint, you should be coming up with some kind of a POC, proof of concept, and trying to mimic that, if given such kind of a data, this is how I'm going to revert back by writing a function. So how do we do that? So first thing is that I want to create some random uh, item codes. Okay, before item codes, there is something called as group cat. So what I'll do is I'll try to create a group category. So I'll say group underscore cat is equal to, say, list of items. Let us say we have AB, BC, CD, DE, EF, FG, GH, HI, maybe one more, IJ. Okay, so let us say we have print length of group cat. So when I look at the length of group cat, I have a couple of length now. It is still turning up my instance. Just give me a minute. Yep. So I have like 9 keys. Okay. Now, because we have 9 keys, now as I said, this key is a group category, and under this one group category, we should have set of items. So I want to randomize the set of items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a module called as import random. Sorry, I'll use a module called as random. Okay, import random. And because I want to create item codes for each group category in such a way that item codes can belong to only one group category at a time. So if I take red apple and I say red apple belongs to AB, red apple cannot be a part of any other group. Okay, so how do we do that? What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop over the group category for I in range, say length of group category, and then I'm going to say let me take one items equal to empty list, because it is a yeah, I'll just take empty list, and then I'll say items dot append. Here I'm going to choose set of random numbers. So how to choose a set of random numbers? I'll show you how the random works. Let me import random here, and then say random dot rand int. I can give a starting number, I can give an ending number, and every time I execute that, I'll get a different value. Say for example, it gave 10 here, it gave 7. I'll run it one more time, it gave 3. I'll run it one more time, it gave 7, 10, 6. So every time you call this random.randint, it will try to pick some random number between this start range and end range. Now, what I want to do is that I want to create a data in such a way that whichever random numbers that got created for AB should not get repeated in BC or CD or any other part. So what I'll do is I'll try to change these ranges in such a way that every time I pick up a new group category, the start range and the end range changes. So what I'm trying to do is, say for example, if we have AB as our first group, I want a random number between, say, 1000 and say 1500. Okay, and this I want to do it for say 3 times. Say for example, I want to for X in range. Here also I'm going to use again random.randint, and I'll say throw me at least one number to a max of 3 numbers, or say 4 numbers. So when I'm going to do that, Okay, it says that these are the items which will be part of AB. Now, similarly, I want to do the same operation for BC. So what I'll do for BC, I'll take BC, and because I have already included 1500, what I'll do is here I'll say 1500 01 and maybe say 3000. Again, I'm going to create it. This time it gave some different numbers. Notice the difference here. Uh, you know, this as I already told you, like it can max go up to 1500 in this case, and in this case it can max go up to 3000. So every time when I go and pick a group category, I have to create some random numbers of item codes in such a way that some new group comes, I have to change my random integer and pick some numbers randomly. Okay, so how you do that is by using random dot randint. I'll say, because I have I here, I will start from 0, so I'll increment it by 1 and I'll multiply it by 1000, and my second number will be, okay, this will be my second number, and I want to repeat it so many times. So what I'll do for x in range, again, I want to create some random numbers here, so I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here. So far so good. So what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm taking one group category at a time, and then I'm creating some items to it and appending that to an empty items. So you will have one list for items, one list for group category, and of course we'll also have some what you call order counter. So let us finish that. So you have seen that, and now I'll say items of the first index. So the first index belonging to group category. So the first index in group category is AB, and the first index in items is 1483, 1983, and 1520. So these three items are grouped. Okay. Now next what we'll do is we'll try to create a data frame. Now for creating a data frame, you will require pandas. Okay. And then easy way to create a pandas is like data is equal to pd dot data frame followed by your items. This items will be items, and then we have group category. This will be your group cat. Okay, we made a mistake somewhere. Yes, I have forgot to add curly braces. So we are taking a dictionary like this, and then we have created that. It's throwing some error maybe. Yep, okay, it's got executed. Now let's see data.head. You notice that we have a group category and list of items, but we do not want list of items to be as list like this, but I want to explode it. So let us see how we can explode it. Data dot explode. You can say items, and I'll map it to data. Data is equal to data dot explode, and then we can go and see data dot head. Okay, now you can notice, so you have group category AB and we have items. So far so good. Now what we are going to do is, like, we are going to go and create random order count. So what I'll do is data order count is equal to, again, we are going to have a list, say random dot rand int. I want to have orders, say from 1 to like say 20, and I want to repeat this for every record that I have. As I said, like every item has got its own number of customers or orders, right? Say for example, in 1483, we have like maybe 10 orders, 15 orders. So I want to do that random number at each item level. So what I'll do is I'll try to create this random dot randint for X in range. I can say data dot head, sorry, data dot shape of 0. And when I do that, it has already, again, now data dot head, I can see I have order count. So this is what the data set looks like. So far, so good. Imagine that you did not understand anything so far. Okay. Given a case that you have this data set, we have to go and write a function in such a way that this requirement is met. That's very simple requirement. Okay. How to write it as a function. So far, I did not write any function. I'm just trying to create the data set. Now, let me mark it down. Okay, this is what we have created a data set. Now, just in case if you do not want to create all this, you can simply copy the code and you can take it from here. Now, what I'll do is I'll just try to write the steps. Okay. Now, the requirement is to make n number of patches, right? Now, what is the shape here? Data dot shape. So we have like 17 records. Because 17 records are there, it is meaningless to convert the 17 into uh, say 5 batches. What I'll try to do is I'll try to convert into 2 batches for now, and then let's see if all the requirements are met or not. So for converting it to 2 batches, now what you'll need is batches equal to empty list. I'll say into, sorry. First, let me create n batches is equal to 2, and then batches, because after you create batches, you have to segregate the keys and keep them aside, because when you return that to as a return statement for the function, the next user can come and pick that batch and process it further based on the requirement. Say for example, now we have batches is equal to, I want to have number of batches, number of list into n batches. So when I do that, I go and check batches. I have, okay. Okay. So we have, we started off with empty batches. I want to create batches and keep the keys into these batches so that, as I said, that the next step will, next person can take from here and continue the process. Now wait, now there is another requirement. Now requirement 2 is that you should divide it in such a way that the order count is almost equal. At least like say we have 17 order lines. Because we have 17 order lines, 17 by 2 is approximately close to 8. So what I'll do is I'll initiate batch count. Batch count is equal to, again I'll take list 0 for X in range batches. As simple as that. So when I go and take batch count, I'm going to get 2 zeros. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my data frame, and I have to put one key. Notice that you cannot go at item level, because as I said, the requirement is to keep all the items belonging to one group into one batch only. So if you go at item level, this requirement not be met. So for you to meet the requirement number one, it is good if you start off with group category. So looking at group category, if I say AB belongs to batch one, then all items like 1483 item, 1983 item, and 1520 item will belong to batch one. It is as simple as that. Uh, if I go at item level, then 1483 can belong to batch one. Maybe 1983 can go to batch two. Then the requirement will fail. So what I'll do, I want to append AB to batch one and next batch to maybe batch two or batch one based on the order count. So first let us go and get the order count. So how do we get the order count at batch level? So I'll say data group is equal to data dot group by, I'll say this is group cat. Let us go and aggregate. What was the column name? I'm sorry. The column name was order count. Go and say order count. The syntax is this. I'm sorry. I'm going to sum all the orders that are present there. Okay, and I can go and also reset underscore index. When I print data underscore group, this is what you get. You have a group and you have order count. Say for AB, you have 11 orders, and how are they divided? The 11 orders, 5 are coming from 1483, 3 are coming from 1983, and 3 are coming from 1520. So 5 plus 3 plus 3 is 11. That is how you get this 11. Say your requirement was also to get the keys. Sorry, your requirement was also to capture the item codes. Then you can also include item code here and convert them into list. Say, for example, I can say items and I'll say list. So when I convert it to list, so it converted all of them. So for AB, you have 3 items. For BC, you have only 1 item. So CD, you have only 2 items, and so on and so forth. That is how you can get the required data. And now I want to convert this into 2 batches. Now, how do I convert it? You already have taken a base. I want to use these 2 batches, and I want to look at the batch count. Every time I go and add one batch, I'll go and measure, go and change my batch count so that when the next record comes, I know which one is the lowest one. So in NumPy, import NumPy as NP, we have something called as argmin, which is going to tell which is the index where the lowest number is present. Say, for example, I'm going to say argmin 1, 10, -5, 0, 500. So, for example, you have a data set like this. And if you notice, so let me annotate it. So if you notice, this is my 0th index, this is my first index, this is my second index, third, and fourth. Because -5 is the lowest of all, and I'm going to use the argmin part of NumPy, it is going to return me the index of that lowest number. And for example, if you have 2 lowest numbers which are equal, -5. If you have 2 lowest numbers which are equal, it will get the first index out of the duplicate one. Just keep this in mind. Okay. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to write a for loop for I in range data underscore group dot shape of 0. If you know, I think we have already discussed about this shape. What it's trying to do is it'll go and fetch how many number of records that we have. So we have 9 records. I'm taking one record at a time. Okay. When in the grouping, okay, in the group you have only one key. For one key you have only one record. So if I take AB and I put it in batch 1, Again, AB cannot go into batch 2. Okay, so that is the reason why we are switching to grouping. And what I'm trying to do is I'm going to loop over the group and then trying to apply my logic. So first what I'll do, I'll get the minimum index is equal to nb dot argmin. I want to fetch what is the lowest index of my batch count. Initially both are zeros, so what it will try to do, it will try to go and get uh, the first index, which is 0. And after I get index, what I'll do is I'll use batches of idx dot append uh, data group. This is group underscore cat dot iloc of I. Our intention here is to find out which of these two lists, which of this list, which index of this list is having the lowest number. In this case, both are zeros, so it will come up with the first index number, which is 0. Okay, now you have 0. Now what I'll do, because I have 0 as my lowest order count, I'm going to add one key to it. So when I add key to it, how do I add it? I have to go and fetch the first record of this particular column, group cat. So if you remember my ilog session, I'll just show you. In the place of I for the first record, my I value is 0. Okay, you are going to get AB. So what I'm doing, I'm taking batches of 0. I'm taking batches of 0. It's an empty list. I'm going to append. Okay, if I do it, it'll go and append directly. So I'm going to append the first record of group cat. Okay, so I'll leave it here. So I just went and appended the group cat. Now this is over. Because we have appended the first group to first list of batches, I should also go and modify the order count of this batches. So how do I modify the order count? What is our order count variable? It is batch count. Again, I'll take batch count. I want to modify the first index. I want to increment it. I'll say plus equal to. Again, I'll go and fetch what is my order count from the data group. So what is my order count? Here it is 11. So here I'll go and put order count. That is all. We have already met the requirement. Okay, when I run this, I can go and say batches. Now these are the batches. You have A, B, D, E, F, G, G, H, and I, J as one batch, and B, C, C, D, E, F, and H as one batch. And when I go and look at batch count, we have approximately equal. 76 and 80 are very similar to each other. Let's say the numbers should not be like 50 at one place and 150 at another place. That is too big of a number. So far so good. Okay, now we have met the requirement, but my intention to create this video is not to show all this. My intention is to write a function and gather this requirement. Okay, now before you write a function, you have to make sure that you already have the logic. Okay, now let us see how to write a function. You already have the logic. Now we should try to go and write a function. Now a function will start from the place where we have the input. This is our input. What is our input? Data is our input. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a logic for writing the function. Okay, I'll say def batching. Here your input is df, and you're also going to specify how many number of batches you're going to tell. Say I'll tell n. For now, n is an integer. This is an integer. This is a data frame. Okay, that n is an integer and df is an data frame. So what is the first step that you did after you have the data? After we have the data, to this data we have applied something called as group by. We did group by and we got this. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this logic and I'll say df underscore group is equal to df dot this. Okay, you already have these variables group cat and order count. Uh, if at all you want to even simplify it, you want the user to go and replace the column name also, you can specify what is a group call, and then you can use group call here directly, and you can also use order count. These will be the variables. Just in case if you want to do it like this, you can do it. But for now, let us not complicate it. Let us keep it simple. So we have df group by, and we have okay. After doing the group by, what else we did? We have initiated with batches and batch count, right? So what I'll do is I'll take batches is equal to this logic. I'm going to put it here. And in this case, my n batches is nothing but n. Okay. After the batches, you already have something called as batch count. Now I'm going to take the batch count. I'm going to replace my batch count. I'm going to replace my n batches with n because n is my input. After you're done with batches, now what is the logic? We simply have to iterate over the data frame length. Find the lowest. So this should be df. df group. df group. Okay, this should be it. And after this, we should be returning batches, comma, batch underscore count. This is how you write a function. If at all you do not know what are the steps that our function should have, then it will get very difficult for you to come up with this logic. Writing this function is more easy after you have the steps that you want to execute. Once you have the steps, all you need to do is simply pass the input and get the output. So what I'll do is I'll simply call, let's say, new underscore batches, comma, new underscore batch count is equal to batching. In this, I'm going to pass data, and number of records is number of batches that I need is 2. So when I do that, it has already kept it. Now let us go and find out what is the difference between this and that. Okay, this is my batches. Now this is new underscore batches. It has applied the same logic. You got the same output. Similarly, if you look at batch count, and there's my batch count. Sorry, but this is my batch count, and let's go and find out new batch count. Okay, as simple as that. So if you want to write a function, this is how you can break the requirements into multiple steps. Make sure that your output is proper, and then writing the function is very simple. Just copy the steps and make sure the variables are passed properly and all the steps are uh, followed up, and the return statement is also correct. And you're just calling the return statements and you're capturing it into new variables, and this is how you can continue from here. Okay. Hope this video was helpful for you. Thank you.